I wanted to clear something up about the last dream that I had shared, because some people were saying that just because I said in my dream that the winds changed and everything like switched direction and went back the opposite direction, somehow in people's minds they took that as me saying that like Trump's going to get reelected for 4 more years and that America is going to be great again and everything's just going to go back to normal. I don't know how people came up with that. I never said that. I don't even think that. So let me just clear that up. So it was in the dream with the elephant stampede that I had on January 5th, one day before basically an elephant stampede in Washington, because the elephant is the logo of the Republican Party. So everything that happened in this dream, I do believe is a dream from God, because it started one day after I had the dream, and because so many of you guys had pointed me to other Christians who basically had the same dream with the same message. Apparently there were others having dreams about elephant stampedes that I don't even subscribe to. I have just not been paying attention to anything for the most part on YouTube lately, just because I've been going through a lot of health issues and life stuff that I just did not need that added extra stress in my brain to come on here and deal with stuff on here. I just had to unplug from the news altogether because it was just too much stress on me. So in the dream after the elephant stampede, which I do think is what happened on January 6th, I saw the winds change and things just went the opposite direction, created a plane crash. And at least with me, you guys, with me, when God gives me dreams of airplanes crashing, it's usually symbolic, and usually an airplane is symbolic of some sort of entity, something. And in this dream there was 2 airplanes that were being carried through the jet stream. They would be fine 1 minute, and then there would be this whoosh of wind that would just like barrel them down along through the jet stream, I guess, to where they would get like all squirrely and they would tumble and roll and they would like overcorrect itself and try to get back on course. And then there would be another like stagnant area, and then there would be another force of wind that would push them downwind even more, and again it would just get all squirrely and try to correct itself. And then just like that, the wind changed direction and started pushing the airplanes the opposite direction of where they had came. And then it did the same thing where a gust of wind would come and push it along, and it would just get unsteady, and then it would steady itself for a little bit, and another gust of wind, until both of the planes crashed. To me, my opinion is that the airplanes in this dream are symbolizing 2 political parties, just because of everything that's going on right now. But that's just my opinion, and my opinion is never set in stone, and my opinion changes over time. So that's just where I'm at right now, and I acknowledge that I could be wrong. So the planes crashed, and I don't know if that was a bad thing or a good thing, because when I say, oh my gosh, this plane crashed, it sounds like a bad thing, and it could be, but the fact that what happened after it is what kind of confuses me. Okay, so when the plane crashed into the building I was in, I went outside of the building to be able to get out and look up at the damage, the evidence, the carnage of this plane, because it was sticking out the side of the building. And when I went outside myself, there was just all the townspeople, everybody was in the streets, just people running one direction, people running other directions. It was just chaos and confusion. But I didn't have any sort of feeling in the dream of like some sort of like scary bad attack, or oh my gosh, some sort of terrible devastation happened, I didn't have a feeling one way or the other. The entire thing was just very matter of fact. The only emotion really was just kind of shock. Everybody was shocked. So when I say people were running around in all different directions in the street, it wasn't like people screaming all scared and feeling like there was an attack or something. It didn't feel like that. And I think people should be careful about interpreting somebody else's dream that they didn't have, saying that it means this when that certain emotion was not shown to that person who had the dream. So the airplane crashed into the building I was in. I ran outside to go see everybody in town. The entire public was outside going around the side of the building to see what had happened. When I ran out of the doors of the building, there was a corrupt cop. I knew that's what he was, and I think he symbolizes the corrupt government officials. I'll just say that. This cop, so what I said was, oh my gosh, that plane just hit this building. And he goes, oh, it did, huh? Oh, really, lady? Okay, whatever. And I knew in the dream that he was mocking me on purpose, trying to make me sound crazy, because this corrupt cop was a part of other cops who they were conspiring something to try and cover up the evidence of this crash. Somehow they had did something to try to hide it from the public eye, to try to conceal it, and they were convinced in their minds there was absolutely no way that the public was going to be able to see that crash, the evidence of that plane sticking out of the building. So when I came running out saying, oh my gosh, that plane just hit the building, he was like, okay, whatever. Not because he didn't believe me. He knew it did, but he was trying to make me seem crazy because he was convinced in his mind that when me and everybody else in town went around the corner to look up and see that there was not going to be anything there, it was going to somehow be hidden from public view, which sounds crazy because it was something so huge. Like, how do you hide an airplane dangling out the side of a building? That's a huge thing, you know what I mean? And I do think all of this is symbolic. That's my opinion. You are welcome to have yours, because I know all of this sounds very similar to 9/11. But I didn't get that feeling of like, oh my gosh, this is an attack, or this is a bad thing, or I wasn't scared. It was just very matter of fact. And like I said, people were just shocked. So he was like, oh, okay, lady, you're nuts, basically, because he knew I wasn't going to see anything when I looked up to see it. But when I rounded the corner and I looked up at the side of the building, and everybody else in town did as well, there it was for all to see. Everything was there just as it had happened. Everybody could see it. Nothing was hidden. It was totally exposed. The plane was just hanging out the side of the building, just like I said, just as it had happened. But somehow they were convinced that they did something to cover it up. They knew nobody was going to see anything. There was just no doubt in his mind at all. So when he saw myself and everybody else look up and see it, the look of shock and surprise on his face was like, oh crap. Like, there was no way it could have happened. He was just stunned and just standing there looking like in pure disbelief. They thought they had pulled it off to cover up that evidence, whatever that is, whatever this symbolizes that's going to happen after the symbolic winds change and things go in a direction that people aren't going to expect. So when I say that things are going to just do that, go in a way that people don't expect, I'm not saying that it means everything's going to go back to normal. I never said that at all. So then a lot of you guys had told me that there were multiple other channels that were getting the same thing from God about winds of change and changing winds, and that things are going to happen in unexpected ways that people didn't think it could happen that way. I was sent links to multiple different channels, and I watched these myself, and I was surprised because of the fact that I had just kind of unplugged for a while and just wasn't paying attention. And Minister Paul was one of those channels that had been posting messages he's been getting about winds of change. And normally, Minister Paul is one of the very few channels I will watch all the time and try to make sure that I'm like caught up on what he is getting, because I know he's legit and genuine, and he is hearing from the Lord and seeking the Lord. And just some of the treatment that I've seen him receive from so-called other believers just disgusts me, because I know that he loves Jesus and he hears from him. And for the past 8-9 years, the Lord shows he and I a lot of the same things, and he knows that. Sometimes he'll receive something from God, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was just shown. Sometimes I'll get something, and he will confirm that he did too. So sometimes we will let each other know or confirm things that each other got. Sometimes I will leave him a comment like that, and I don't always do that because I don't always really make the time to do that, but we're both shown a lot of the same things. So to see that didn't surprise me, because we are shown a lot of the same things, but it just was very encouraging because I had missed what he was posting because I wasn't paying attention to things going on in the world, because I have been dealing with a lot of health issues and a lot of things just in life in general that it was just too much for me to deal with, and just I couldn't even watch the news. I had no idea for like 2+ weeks what was going on in the news, because I just simply could not. I was having like full-fledged panic attacks, like physiological panic attacks, like my body was going haywire and I couldn't control it, and just any hint of like bad news or anything just would stress me out so bad, because the physical pain that I have been dealing with my health was so bad. At one point I just wanted to die. I just wanted to throw my phone in the river and just not, I couldn't add any further stress onto everything I've been dealing with. And it's been a lot, and I don't like talking about it. So I was very out of the loop with what you guys have been posting on here and what's been going on in the news, just because I just simply could not add that into the mix of everything else. So I had missed all of that stuff that Minister Paul had posted, so I tried to go back and catch up on everything. And it's a lot of the same stuff I'm being told is like winds of change, winds changing directions, things kind of being switched up and going in the opposite direction of the way they've been going. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for this country. I don't know. I wasn't told that, and I didn't say that, so don't assume I said something that I didn't. So I just wanted to clear that up if anybody misunderstood that. I don't know how things are going to happen. Before the elections, in my mind, there was one of two ways things could go. And then everything happened with like the cheating and stealing and all the deceit and everything, and then everything just kind of branched off into all these different possibilities of the way things could go. And then this thing happened on the 6th, and then that just branched off so many more. I just don't even know how or what. I don't know how things are going to play out, what they're going to look like, what these winds of change are that so many on here are getting. But it's obvious to me that the Lord is telling us something's going to give somewhere, somehow. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's this or that. I wasn't told that. But in my dream, the first thing that happened was the elephant stampede, which I think is what happened on January 6th at the Capitol. After that was when I looked out the window and I saw the winds change direction. After that was when the 2 planes crashed, whatever those entities are symbolizing. And that evidence of that was attempted to be covered up and completely concealed and hidden from public eye by corrupt officials and authorities. However, everybody was able to see exactly what had happened. It was all out in the open. Everybody saw it for what it was. Nothing was hidden. And these corrupt authorities were in such shock. He didn't know what to do or what to think, because he was convinced that they had done everything to cover it up, but we were able to see whatever it was. So I think, my opinion is, something else is about to happen. I don't know what that means, I don't know what that means for the church. I don't know what it means for the world. I don't know if it's a good thing, a bad thing. I don't know if Joe Biden is actually going to physically take office or if they're going to off him. I don't know if God's going to pull a rabbit out of a hat or pull something out of his sleeve at the last possible second for Trump. I don't know. I've heard that there are like minuscule possibilities legally, like tiny possibilities of things that could go in Trump's favor and he could still get in there, even though it's seemingly impossible, but it could happen. I've heard that. If that does happen, I don't foresee him being in there for a full term at all. My opinion is that, I don't know. I just can't see. God has shown a lot of his people warnings about Obama coming back. Nothing about Biden as far as like showing that he's going to be there long term, like warning things about Biden. The things that I've heard Christians be shown about Biden is, he is in some people's dreams, but it's like he's there, but just kind of on the sidelines, or he's not really saying much or doing much. He's just kind of there. It's all stuff about warnings about Obama. But I know that if you get Biden, you're basically getting Obama. And I've said the entire time that if Biden gets in there, I don't think they're going to let him be in there for long. Because, this man doesn't even know what day of the week it is, let alone that he's even running for president, because he said he was running for Senate. You know what I mean? So I feel like to them, he is just a placeholder right now. I don't know if he would make it a week or a month in office before they pull some kind of, the thing is, they are steps ahead of the game. So they already know what their plan is for Joe Biden, and I don't think he's going to last long. I really don't know. I can see so many different things happening. I could see to where we're just done, where this country is toast, and where Jesus is just going to rapture his people out of here. But I always try to be realistic with myself and biblical. And it is a possibility that God, there's a scripture that says if God's people will, seek his face and repent and turn to him, that he will heal the land. And I do see a lot of people are doing that right now. Not everybody, obviously, but a lot of people are really waking up right now and realizing that the rug is being yanked out from under us with our freedoms and everything that's going on. And people are waking up to that and waking up to God and turning to more biblical ways. And I do see it happening. Not everywhere, but it is a thing. So I could see God answering people's prayers for that. And like I said, I can see both sides of the coin. I am completely on the fence as far as where we're at. Whether Biden gets it and we're done and Biden equals Obama, the Antichrist, or if somehow, some way, because here's the thing. If Trump does end up by some random law or whatever getting in there for probably a short space, I could see that being God's character doing that, because he is somebody that waits to the last second when everything seems impossible and there's no hope and oh my gosh, we're done for. And it's God's character to wait to that last second to pull that rabbit out of his hat, so to speak. Because of this fact, I'm hearing people say, if Trump somehow wins another term, it would have to be an act of God. It would have to be a miracle from God that he would get in there. And that gives God the glory for it. You know what I mean? There would be no other excuse. There's just no physical possible way, it seems, that, because people are already like, oh, we're done. Biden's going to be president. He probably is. I don't know. I'm just talking possibilities. And if we're being honest with ourselves, you can see both possibilities completely happening. Or not both of them at the same time, but one or the other. So I could see God's fingerprints in him pulling out at the last second. For Trump to get in there to buy us a little bit more time, I don't think Trump would fulfill an entire second term before we're out of here. I just don't. And I wanted to mention the fact that I could also see that because something I've learned about God is he does play on words. That's something I've picked up on that he does with me. I've shared a lot of them before. One of them being, he told me, corona mass injection, referring to the V word. And I knew he was telling me a play on words with coronal mass ejection, like a CME. And much to my surprise, you guys had told me that if there were to be like a massive CME, that it could have really bad effects on the corona mass injection, as far as like sores and boils and things like that, which we read of in the book of Revelation regarding the mark of the beast. So that's one example, and I know he does it in the Bible and just in life, because like with Jesus is the sun, S-O-N. He's the light of the world. We need him. The sun, S-U-N, it's the physical light of the world, and we need the sun to live. So just things like that, I've noticed that it's no coincidence that sun and sun are different spellings, but have the same meaning and same purpose. So I've noticed over time that he does this with names as well. Sometimes, not always, not everybody on earth has some sort of God-given mystery name meaning, but a lot of people do, and I do see it a lot in like public figures, especially like with Trump, like at the last Trump. And a lot of people believe Trump is the last president, so like the last Trump. And we have seen it with Obama, because we know his name is in the Bible as the definition of his name meaning seeing Satan fall from heaven as lightning. So I thought, well, what about Biden? And I thought, well, you know, if he gets in there, it's just Biden our time, like buying a little bit more time. He's a placeholder for something. I don't know for sure. This is just thinking out loud and just throwing possibilities of things out there that have just been going through my mind. I'm not setting anything in stone or saying this means this or that means that for sure, because I don't know. And I just find it funny how a lot of people on here seem to know for a fact everything that's going to happen. I just think some people are so wrapped up in their own ego and pride that they want to be right about everything, and you're wrong about everything. So, yeah, just the fact that the Lord is showing a lot of people that the winds are about to change and things are about to go in a different direction than we thought doesn't mean I'm saying that we're just going to go back to the glory days of America and all this stuff that I never said. And I was never told or given a feeling of whether that change of things shifting gears was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. So please don't put words in my mouth. So hopefully that clears that up. I'm just, as much as you guys, I'm just sitting back with popcorn, just watching the things that are going on, waiting to see where we go from here. I have a feeling that anywhere from here, like today, and say like January 20th or 21st, somewhere in that week, my hunch is that something's going to happen. That's going to be that winds of change or the plane crashes, so to speak, that really just makes everybody realize that we just don't know what hit us. I just have a feeling that something else is about to happen that nobody expected, and people are going to be taken by surprise. I don't know if that's a good surprise or a bad surprise, okay? So, all right, bye.